The rain hammered the windshield like fists of regret as Alex slammed on the brakes, the old Ford pickup skidding across the slick Iowa highway into the path of oncoming headlights. "You think you're the only one who lost him?" Jordan's voice cracked over the phone speaker moments earlier, raw and accusing, before Alex had ripped the cord from the dash in a blind fury. Now, as the semi-truck's horn wailed a death knell, Alex's last thought wasn't of the father buried 6 months cold or the mother who'd chosen sides long ago. It was the half-brother he'd sworn to forget, the one whose face haunted every shadowed corner of his fracturing world. Alex's hands trembled on the wheel long after the near-miss, the truck fishtailing to a stop on the shoulder under a sky that wept without mercy. He killed the engine, the sudden silence amplifying the storm's fury outside, and buried his face in his palms. The dashboard clock glowed 2:17 a.m., a mocking reminder that he'd been driving aimlessly for hours, fleeing the hollow echo of his childhood home in Cedar Falls. Dad's funeral had been a blur of casseroles and condolences, but it was Mom's eulogy that still burned. "Mark was the rock we all leaned on, especially my boys, Jordan and Ethan." Ethan, not Alex, her biological son from a fleeting affair, paraded like a trophy while Alex, the stepson she'd raised from diapers, faded into the wallpaper. He'd always known the favoritism simmered beneath her smiles, but after Dad's heart gave out mid-harvest last fall, it boiled over. The will was the first cut. The family farm split unevenly, with the bulk of the land, generations of McAllister sweat, going to Ethan, to keep the legacy strong, as the lawyer droned. Alex got the house, a crumbling Victorian on the edge of town, and a pittance in savings. "It's practical," Mom had said over coffee the next morning, her eyes avoiding his. "Ethan's got the head for business. You're the dreamer, Alex. Always have been." Dreamer. The word stung like gravel in a wound. At 28, Alex had poured his soul into that farm. Up at dawn mending fences, nights poring over crop yields, while Ethan, the golden boy 10 years younger, flitted through community college and odd jobs, charming everyone with his easy grin and that effortless way he filled a room. Half-brother by blood to no one but Mom's secrets, Ethan had arrived like a storm when Alex was 18, Mom's confession spilling out after a bottle of bourbon. "Your dad forgave me. He loves us all the same." But love, Alex learned, came in flavors. Thick and sweet for Ethan, watered down and bitter for him. The phone buzzed in the cup holder, Ethan's name lighting up the screen. Alex let it ring, each vibration a pulse of unresolved rage. They'd clashed at the reading, Ethan's hand on Mom's shoulder as he murmured apologies Alex couldn't hear. Later, in the barn loft where they'd once shared stolen beers and stories of escaping this flatland purgatory, Ethan had tried to bridge the gap. "This isn't about us, Alex. It's the farm. Dad wanted you to have it?" Alex had spat, the ladder creaking under his retreat. "Or Mom decided for him, like she always does?" Ethan's face had crumpled, those blue eyes mirror images of Dad's, pleading. "I don't want it if it breaks us." But it already had. Alex stormed out, the door slamming like a guillotine. Now, miles from home, the rain eased to a drizzle, and Alex restarted the truck, the wipers squeaking a reluctant rhythm. He didn't head back. Not yet. Instead, he veered toward Des Moines. The bartender, a grizzled vet named Hank with tattoos snaking up his forearms, slid another drink his way. "Rough night, kid? You look like you lost a fight with a ghost." Alex chuckled, hollow. "Something like that. Family bullshit." Hank nodded, polishing a glass. "Ain't it always? Mine scattered after Nom. Best thing that happened." But scattering wasn't an option for Alex. The farm was his anchor, even halved. He was the one who'd stayed. Not Ethan with his vague dreams of seeing the world, or that photography gig in Chicago he kept teasing. Gay in a town that whispered more than it shouted, Alex had buried his heart under flannel and calluses, dating sporadically. A mechanic here, a barista there, but nothing stuck. Ethan, though. Ethan wore his queerness like a badge, out and proud at pride parades in Iowa City, posting selfies with rainbows and boyfriends that cycled like seasons. It irked Alex, that freedom, until he realized it was envy, sharp as a scythe. By dawn, the whiskey had dulled the edges, and Alex checked into a no-tell-motel on the city's outskirts, the neon sign buzzing vacancy like a lie. He collapsed onto the sagging bed, the phone finally silent. Sleep came in fragments. Dad's cough echoing through the house, Mom's laughter brighter for Ethan, and Ethan's voice, soft in the dark of the loft. "You're the only one who gets me, Alex. Blood or not." He woke to pounding, not rain, but fists on the door. "Alex, open up, man. It's me." "Ethan, how the hell?" Alex stumbled to the peephole, heart jackhammering. There he was, soaked from the drizzle, duffel bag slung over one shoulder, eyes wild with that mix of defiance and desperation Alex knew too well. "What the fuck are you doing here?" Alex yanked the door open, voice a gravel whisper. Ethan pushed inside, dripping on the threadbare carpet. "Tracked your phone. Mom's worried sick. And I couldn't just sit there." He dropped the bag, running a hand through wet hair. "We need to talk. For real this time." Alex crossed his arms, the room shrinking. "Talk? About how you're taking everything. Or how she loves you more." Ethan flinched, but held ground. "It's not like that. The will, Dad changed it last month. Before he told me why." The air thickened, charged. Alex's pulse thrummed. "Why what?" "Because he knew about us," Ethan said, voice breaking. "About the nights in the loft. The way we look at each other. He wanted to protect you. From her, from the town. From me, if it came to that." The words hung like smoke, igniting memories Alex had locked away. Ethan's first awkward confession at 20, post-breakup with some college boy, tears on Alex's shirt as they sat on the tailgate under stars. Alex's arm around him, comforting, until it wasn't. Until the hug lingered, breaths mingling. A kiss aborted by headlights sweeping the drive. They'd never spoken of it, burying the spark under brotherly banter. But it smoldered. Dad must have seen, his quiet nods at breakfasts loaded with subtext. "Sit," Alex muttered, gesturing to the bed's edge. Ethan did, peeling off his jacket, revealing a faded Pride tee clinging to his frame. The room smelled of rain and regret. "He said the farm's yours by right," Ethan continued, eyes downcast. "The split's a smokescreen. Mom doesn't know, didn't want her meddling. But she guessed, Alex. About us. That's why she's pushing me forward. To drive a wedge." Alex sank beside him, the mattress dipping. "Us? There is no us. We're brothers." Ethan turned, gaze fierce. "Half. And more. I've waited years for you to see it." The confession cracked something in Alex. A dam of denial. He reached out, fingers brushing Ethan's jaw, rough with stubble. Time fractured. The storm outside, the hum of the AC, the weight of unspoken years. Their lips met tentatively, a question. Then sure. A slow burn of salt and need, hands finding purchase on shoulders, waists. Not frantic, but inevitable, like rain filling dry riverbeds. They pulled apart, foreheads touching, breaths ragged. "This changes everything," Alex whispered. Ethan smiled, tentative. "Or nothing. We're still us." But as they lay tangled in the motel's thin sheets, whispering futures over cooling skin, Alex felt the first tremor of doubt. Mom's calls lit the phone. 5, 10, voicemails laced with venom. "Where is he, Alex? That boy's not right in the head." The betrayal loomed, not just in land deeds, but in the heart of their fractured home. Dawn crept through the motel's yellowed curtains like a hesitant intruder, painting stripes across the rumpled bed where Alex and Ethan lay entwined, the night's confessions settling like dew. Alex stirred first, tracing the curve of Ethan's shoulder with his thumb, marveling at the vulnerability in sleep. The boy who'd always seemed untouchable now soft and real under his touch. It wasn't lust that anchored him. It was recognition, a mirror held to his own guarded soul. For the first time since Dad's casket lowered into the Iowa clay, Alex felt seen, not as the reliable shadow, but as the man who dreamed of more than furrows and feedlots. Ethan woke with a murmur, eyes fluttering open to meet Alex's. "Morning," he said, voice husky, a shy grin breaking through. No awkwardness, just the quiet thrill of new territory charted. They dressed in silence, stealing glances, the air humming with possibility. Over stale motel coffee in paper cups, Ethan pulled out his phone, scrolling to an email from the lawyer. "Look, Dad's codicil hidden in the safe. Transfers full ownership to you, contingent on, well, us staying true to the land." He wrote it after catching us that night by the creek. Alex's coffee turned bitter on his tongue. The creek, 2 summers back, fireflies dancing as Ethan vented about a ghosting boyfriend. Alex's reassurances turning to a shared joint, laughter to leaning, to a kiss swallowed by the current's rush. Dad had appeared like a specter, lantern swinging. His get home safe, boys, laced with knowing sorrow. "He protected us," Alex said, throat tight, "even from ourselves." Ethan nodded, squeezing his hand across the rickety table. "So we go back, face her, make it right." The drive home was a ribbon of highway unspooling under tires, cornfields whispering secrets in the wind. They talked, really talked, for the first time without the farm's shadow. Ethan confessed his fears. The parade of boyfriends masking loneliness, the pressure of Mom's pedestal. "She sees me as her redemption," he said, fingers drumming the dash. "The son who stayed perfect after her mistake." Alex shared his own scars. The taunts in high school for being soft. The parade of dead-end dates in Des Moines bars, always fleeing before dawn. "You're the only one who stayed," Ethan replied, voice soft. "Even when I didn't deserve it." Cedar Falls welcomed them with open arms and prying eyes. The gas station clerk nodding knowingly as Alex filled the tank. The diner waitress sliding extra pie with a wink. "Heard you two had a spat. Family men's." By the time they pulled into the gravel drive of the Victorian, the sun hung low, gilding the peeling gingerbread trim. Mom's Buick sat sentinel, a silent accusation. Inside, the house smelled of pot roast and polished grief, photos on the mantel rearranged. Dad's prominence diminished, Ethan's school portraits front and center. "Boys!" Mom emerged from the kitchen, apron dusted with flour, her hug for Ethan lingering, perfunctory for Alex. Up close, her eyes were red-rimmed, the favoritism armor cracking at edges. "Thank God. I called the sheriff. Thought you'd run off for good." Her gaze flicked between them, sharpening. "Ethan, honey, you look exhausted. Sit. I'll fix tea." Alex's jaw tightened. "We're fine, Mom. We need to talk about the will." She froze, teapot rattling on the counter. "It's settled. Lawyer said. Dad changed it." Ethan cut in, voice steady. He slid the printed codicil across the oak table, the paper crisp as a gauntlet. Mom's face drained of color, hands trembling as she scanned the lines. Alex's name in bold, the clause about preserving the family's true bonds. "This is forgery," she whispered, but her eyes betrayed her. Recognition of Dad's looping script. Mark wouldn't. He knew Ethan needed stability. "After what I did to you, Alex, bringing him into this." The air thickened, old wounds reopening. Alex leaned forward, voice low. "What you did? You mean loving him more? Making me the outsider in my own home?" Mom's chin quivered, tears spilling. "I tried. God, I tried. But Ethan, he's my blood, my second chance. You were Mark's always. I was just holding space." Ethan reached for her hand, but she pulled away, the betrayal in her eyes not for them, but for the husband who'd outmaneuvered her from the grave. "You knew," she accused Ethan, "about the change. And you let me believe." "I didn't know till last night," he said, hurt lacing his words. "Dad wanted us whole, not splintered." Dinner that night was a minefield of forced civility. Forks scraping plates, silences punctuated by weather reports on the radio. Alex excused himself early, retreating to the porch swing where fireflies blinked like hesitant stars. Ethan joined him later, 2 beers in hand, the screen door creaking shut on Mom's muffled sobs. "She's scared," Ethan said, settling close, their thighs brushing. Of losing control. Alex clinked bottles. Or us. Under the oak's canopy. They kissed again, slower, surer. The world narrowing to the taste of hops and heartbeat. Ethan's fingers threaded through Alex's hair. A promise in the pull. I love you, he breathed against Alex's neck. Have for years. Not as a brother. The words unlocked something fierce in Alex. A flood of yes. Love returned. Raw and reciprocal. They made plans in whispers. Sell a parcel for seed money. Renovate the house into a B&B for queer travelers. A haven in Heartland Red. Our legacy, Alex murmured, Ethan's head on his chest. But dawn brought the serpent. Mom, pale and resolute, waited in the kitchen with the lawyer on speakerphone. I contested the codicil, she announced, voice steel. Dad was medicated, senile in his last days. The farm stays as is. Ethan's share secured. Betrayal hit like a gut punch. Ethan's face crumpled. Alex's vision tunneled. How could you? Alex roared, slamming a fist on the table. After everything. For the family, she insisted, eyes pleading with Ethan. My boy, tell him. We stick together. Ethan stood, torn, the room spinning. Mom, this isn't right. But doubt flickered, her hand on his arm, the siren call of approval. He met Alex's gaze, anguish raw. I need time. To think. Time. The word was a knife. Alex stormed out, truck keys jangling, leaving Ethan in the wreckage. The fields blurred as he drove, heart fracturing anew. Betrayal wasn't just land. It was love weaponized, pulling Ethan back to the orbit he'd fought to escape. Miles away, in a diner booth sticky with syrup, Alex nursed black coffee, phone dark. Ethan's texts piled up. I'm sorry. She's my mom. I love you, don't give up. But actions screamed louder. By noon, the lawyer confirmed. Mom's petition filed. Witnesses lined up. Neighbors swearing. Dad's mind wandered. Alex's claim hung by a thread. He drove to the creek, the waters rush a bomb. There, under the willow where it began, he waited. Ethan arrived at dusk, face streaked with tears, duffel in hand. I told her no, he gasped, collapsing into Alex's arms. The farm's yours. We're done playing her game. Relief crashed over them, kisses fierce in the fading light. But as they drove home hand in hand, the Victorian's lights glowed like a beacon or a trap. Mom stood on the porch, arms crossed, the storm she'd brewed darkening the horizon. The confrontation unfolded like a Midwestern squall. Swift, unrelenting, roots torn up in its wake. Mom blocked the porch steps, her silhouette etched against the warm spill of lamplight, face a mask of righteous fury. So this is it? She called as Alex cut the engine, Ethan's hand slipping from his in a reflex of old habits. My own sons, turning against me for a scrap of dirt? Alex stepped out, gravel crunching under boots, Ethan flanking him like a shield. It's not about dirt, Mom. It's about truth. Dad's truth. She laughed, bitter and brittle, descending the steps with the grace of a deposed queen. Truth? Your father's truth was forgiving my sins. Taking you in, Alex, when I could have walked away. And Ethan, my miracle after the wreckage. Now you spit on that. Her eyes bored into Ethan, the favored one, seeking fracture. Come inside, baby. We can fix this. Lawyers, appeals. Keep what's yours. Ethan hesitated, the duffel strap biting into his shoulder. And in that pause, Alex saw the chasm. Years of her whispers. You're special, my secret keeper, eroding resolve. I can't, Ethan said finally, voice a thread. Not anymore. The codicil stands. Alex gets the farm. Mom's slap echoed sharper than thunder. Not to Ethan, but air, inches from his cheek, the intent clear. You choose him? Over me? After I gave you everything. Everything but freedom. Ethan shot back, stepping closer to Alex, their shoulders brushing, a united front. You pitted us against each other from day one. Made Alex the villain so I'd be the hero. Dad saw through it. Why can't you? The wind picked up, whipping her hair like Medusa's snakes. Tears carved tracks down her face, but her voice rose, venomous. Because I know what you are, both of you, sneaking around like animals, tainting his memory. Mark would roll in his grave. Alex's blood iced. He knew, and he blessed it in writing. He thrust the codicil copy at her, pages fluttering. Read the note at the bottom. For my boys, who found each other when I couldn't. She snatched it, scanning, then crumpled it in her fist. Lies, all of it. I'll burn this house before I let. Enough! Ethan's shout silenced the night, a raw edge Alex had never heard. You're the liar, the one who cheated, who dragged us into your guilt trip. Dad stayed for love, for us. You stayed for control. He dropped the duffel, unzipping it to reveal a stack of letters, yellowed envelopes tied with twine. Found these in the attic. Your affair, details Dad never shared. He protected you, too, but you're throwing it away. Mom staggered back, hand to mouth, the fight draining like color from a leaf. The letters, Dad's quiet archive of pain, were her undoing, secrets she'd buried under pot roasts and PDA meetings. She sank onto the porch step, sobs racking her frame. I was young, scared. Mark forgave, but I never did. So I clung to Ethan, made him my absolution. Alex, you were the reminder of my failures. The confession hung, heavy as humidity before a storm. Alex knelt before her, the boy she'd half-raised, now the man offering olive branch. We're all reminders, Mom, of mistakes, of grace. But family isn't ownership. It's choice. Ethan joined him, the three a ragged circle under the oak's watchful branches. Choose us, he pleaded. Not the hate. She looked up, eyes fractured prisms. I don't know how. The days that followed were a fragile truce, the house a pressure cooker of therapy sessions via Zoom with a counselor from Iowa City. Family dynamics in rural America. The title a bland shield for buried shames. Mom attended grudgingly, her barbs softening to questions. When did it start? The feelings. Over coffee one morning, Ethan laid it bare. The loft confessions, the creak's whisper. While Alex added his silences, the envy masked as resentment. She listened, nodding, the favoritism's roots exposed like unearthed fossils. Meanwhile, the farm demanded resurrection. Alex and Ethan threw themselves into it. Dawn patrols mending harvesters. Afternoons plotting crop rotations with apps on Ethan's phone. Evenings found them on the porch, beers in hand, sketching B&B blueprints. Rooms named for Dad's favorite fields, Goldenrod Suite, Prairie Whisper. With pride flags subtle in quilts. A safe harbor for travelers weary of Bible Belt fringes. Queer Heartland hideaway, Ethan joked, but his eyes shone serious. Our Mark. Alex pulled him close, kisses deepening under twilight's hush. Love bloomed tentative, walks by the creek, hands laced. Slow dances in the kitchen to old country radio, bodies learning rhythms beyond blood. It was romantic in its rusticity. Wildflowers in mason jars, Ethan's camera capturing Alex amid sunflowers, golden hour gilding his profile like a Renaissance saint. Yet emotion laced every touch, fear of fragility, the knowledge that one wrong word could shatter. Climax brewed on a sweltering July eve, the county fair in full swing, carnival lights flickering over fried dough and Ferris wheel screams. Mom had insisted they go, for normalcy. Her word a plea wrapped in command. The midway thrummed with locals. Mr. Hargrove from the co-op clapping Alex's back. Heard you're keeping the old place. Good on ya, son. Whispers trailing Ethan and Alex, hands brushing innocently, eyes lingering too long. Pride pins glinted on their collars, subtle rebellions. Then, amid the cotton candy haze, Mom cornered them by the livestock barns, her face flushed from lemonade or liquor. Look at them, she hissed, nodding to a cluster of church ladies, fans fluttering like judgment, gossiping about my boys. The farm'll be a laughingstock. Alex's temper flared. It's our life, Mom, not your reputation. Ethan stepped in, voice calm. We invited you to see, not to fix. But she whirled on him, the old favoritism surging. You're throwing it all for this? I gave you a name, a home, and a cage, Ethan retorted, voice rising. The crowd hushed, ears pricking. You betrayed Dad first, with lies, with pushing me to take what's Alex's. Now you're betraying us all over again. Her slap landed this time, crisp on Ethan's cheek, the sound a whip crack. Gasps rippled. A phone flashed, capturing the tableau. Alex lunged, grabbing her wrist. Stop! This ends now. Mom recoiled, hand to mouth, horror dawning as the weight of witnesses crashed down. Oh God, what have I done? She fled toward the parking lot, sobs trailing like exhaust. Ethan touched his reddening cheek, eyes glassy. She chose. Again. Alex pulled him into a shadowed alley between barns, the fair's din muffling their collapse. Not you. Us. They clung, tears mixing. The betrayals sting fresh but fleeting against resolve. We'll fight the petition. Together. Back home, the lawyer's call confirmed. Mom's contest withdrawn, her signature shaky on the retraction. Personal reasons, the man said, voice neutral. But the real storm hit at midnight. Mom's note on the kitchen table, beside a ring of keys. I need to make peace with myself. Gone to Aunt Clara's in Dubuque. Sell my share if you must. Love despite everything. Forgive when you can. Dawn broke gray, the house emptier, but lighter. Alex and Ethan stood at the sink, coffee steaming, Ethan's head on Alex's shoulder. She's human, Alex said. Flawed as us. Ethan nodded, fingers interlacing. And we're free. Autumn arrived like a prodigal son, painting the fields in russet and gold. The harvest a symphony of combines humming under vast skies. With Mom's shadow lifted, her occasional postcards from Dubuque laced with tentative warmth. Proud of your clippings in the Gazette. Alex and Ethan poured sweat into rebirth. The farm yielded its best crop in years, soybeans fat and forgiving. The profits seeding renovations. The Victorian's porch rebuilt sturdy, guest rooms blooming with fresh paint and heirloom quilts stitched by Ethan's nimble hands. The queer Heartland Hideaway sign went up on opening day, simple oak carved with pride swirls, drawing its first guests. A couple from Chicago fleeing urban grind, their laughter echoing through halls Dad once paced. Life wove intimate patterns. Mornings tangled in flannel sheets, Alex's stubble grazing Ethan's collarbone. Afternoons in the fields, shirt sleeves rolled, hands dirt-streaked and linking over fence posts. Romance infused the mundane. Picnics by the creek with Dad's old thermos of cider. Ethan's guitar strumming folk tunes under stars. Alex's head in his lap, confessions murmured like prayers. You're my horizon, Alex said one night, fireflies winking approval. Ethan kissed his temple. And you're the roots. Emotion ran deep, not in grand gestures but quiet anchors. Ethan's camera chronicling Alex's quiet strengths. Alex's steady presence mending Ethan's wanderlust scars. Yet conflict lingered, subtle as frostbite. Whispers from townfolk tested resolve. Hargrove's co-op boycotts veiled as concerns. Church flyers decrying the B&B as moral erosion. A late October night crystallized it. Tires screeching in the drive, headlights blinding as 3 pickup loads of locals. Faces twisted in beer-fueled bravado, gathered with eggs and epithets. Sodom spawn, one bellowed, hurling a carton that splattered the new sign, yolk dripping like scorn. Alex and Ethan burst onto the porch, hearts pounding, guests peeking from windows. Get off our land, Alex roared, phone dialing sheriff. Ethan, bolder, stepped forward, voice carrying like a preacher's. This is home. For us, for them, gesturing to the shadowed faces inside. Folks like you once welcomed. What's changed? A burly man in a feed cap spat. You, parading your sin, corrupting Mark's memory. Ethan's laugh was steel-wrapped sorrow. Dad built this for love. All kinds. Go home. Hate don't harvest. The crowd shifted, murmurs rising. One woman, Hargrove's wife, tugged her husband's sleeve. Enough, Tom. Kids are watching. The ringleader grumbled retreat, taillights fading into night. Sheriff arrived postmortem, notepad out. Hate crime, boys. We'll press if you want. But Alex shook his head. Words first. Always. The incident rippled, local paper's front page story. Farm brothers stand against bigotry. Interviews with guests praising the haven's warmth. Mom called next day, voice thick. Saw the news. You handled it better than I ever could. I'm coming home. If you'll have me. Climax crested on Thanksgiving. The house alive with scents of turkey and pie. Guests mingled with kin. Mom arrived tentative, pie in hands, her hug for Alex lingering this time. Fierce, apologetic. I was wrong. About the land, about you both. Seeing you fight. It woke me. Dinner unfolded raw. Toasts to Dad. Tears over letters burned in the hearth. Mom's confession spilling like gravy. I favored Ethan to punish myself. But love isn't zero-sum. Ethan squeezed her hand. Alex nodding across the table. The circle complete. Yet betrayal's echo demanded one final reckoning. Post-feast, as snow dusted the fields, Mom pulled Ethan aside in the study, old habits whispering. The B&B's risky, she urged, voice low. Sell to Hargrove, secure. For your future. Ethan's face hardened. He glanced to Alex, carving leftovers in the kitchen, oblivious. The temptation flickered, easy money. Mom's nod of approval, but he saw the wedge for what it was. No, he said, firm. Our future's here. With him. He walked out, joining Alex at the sink, arms wrapping waist. Mom followed, chastened, the moment a quiet victory. Winter softened into spring, the hideaway thriving. Reviews glowing on travel sites. A documentary crew from Des Moines filming Heartland Heroes. Alex and Ethan's love deepened. A tapestry of shared labors and stolen sunsets. Vows exchanged under the oak. Simple bands glinting on calloused fingers. Town hall ceremony drawing allies and skeptics alike. Mom stayed, her room on the third floor a space of atonement. Baking for guests, mediating spats with co-op holdouts. Her laughter freer. Favoritism transmuted to fierce advocacy. One balmy June eve, as fireflies reclaimed the creek, Alex and Ethan sat on the porch swing, Mom's rocker empty beside them. We made it, Alex murmured, Ethan's head on his shoulder. Not without scars, Ethan replied, fingers tracing the wedding band. But they're ours. The future stretched like fields after rain. Fertile, uncertain, alive. In the Heartland's embrace, they'd rebuilt not just a farm, but a family. Flawed, fierce, forever bound by choice over blood, hope over hate. And in the quiet, as stars pricked the velvet sky, Alex knew. This was the legacy Dad dreamed, the love that outlasted storms.